Last class, we have been discussing about some of the power system quantities with respect to the fundamental voltage and having the current harmonics. We have seen this for that case, the powers, real power, reactive power, and then the harmonic power, and then the distortion factor also, displacement factor, and then power factor also. And we started with the voltage is having the fundamental and other harmonic components, as well as the current with respect to the fundamental current and then the current harmonics also. Okay, we have seen these particular equations which are
Sir,
related to.
sir,
Yeah.
screen sharing.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, visible, sir.
We have seen this particular case, the voltage with respect to the fundamental voltage and fundamental harmonics and the current also. Okay, this particular equation we have just saw the derivations also. How does the instantaneous power looks like? Okay, in the instantaneous power, we are seeing these are the kind of the contribution. We have considered the DC component also in the voltage as well as the current. In that case, this particular equation, these are the instantaneous powers which are will exist in a system when you have these particular voltages and these particular currents. The DC component, fundamental voltage, and harmonic component. Especially we have seen this fourth term, which is of fourth A term, which we have seen this particular equation, the fourth term. This is very much we are very much interested in finding out the real power and the reactive power with real power only, okay, with respect to this equation, and then the reactive power also. Okay, this is about the similar frequency components interaction. This was the term. Okay, we've seen this particular term with this fourth A and the similar frequency component, which they have mentioned it as P active of T. Okay, this is in the fourth A. This is one of the part. Okay, in the fourth A, this is the one of the part, right? This was equation. The fourth A is one of the part. Fourth A is one of the part, and this is about the fourth equation of A of the second part, where from this we are going to find out the peak value of this particular equation as the reactive power. Okay, and we have seen about the real power, which is of a non-negative value, which we can find out with this equation also. I mean, this is the instantaneous power of whole uh, the terms. That is, the P of T is nothing but this particular equation. We can take this yes, no, this equation. This equation we can find it out with rest by taking about integral this t1 to t1 plus capital T, P of T and dt. This will use the average power. So whatever may be the kind of the voltages, that is. Okay, we'll get kind of the voltages as well as the current. We are going to get about this particular equation. Okay, this is about the average power. Whereas the reactive component, which is 4A2, it is of similar frequency components. The peak value of this is going to give about the reactive power. That is the reactive power. Yeah, this particular. The maximum magnitude of the earlier equation of 1.3, which gives about the reactive power. Here in the powers, in the average power, this we have a PDC, V1 I1 cos phi 1, and V2 I2 cos phi 2, and V3 I3 cos phi 3. These are the terms which is represented to the harmonic powers. Is about the DC power. This is about the active fundamental power. And yeah, we have seen this P minus P1, which gives about the harmonic power. The P1 is calculated by extracting the fundamental voltage as well as the fundamental current From that, when you subtract we can get this particular equation of the P by taking about this equation, we get about the harmonic power. Okay. So the reactive power, the other name which is there is Boudinot's reactive power also, summing of the maximum value of the term which is of 1.30, we get about these powers Q1, V1 I1 sin phi 1, V2 I2 sin phi 2, V3 I3 sin phi 3. And this entire the equation can be called it as the reactive power or the Boudinot's reactive power. And this is the fundamental reactive power. This is the harmonic reactive power. This we have seen in the last class also. Okay. Yeah. Here, the dissimilar frequency components are counted as the P rest of T. It is of just an indication only. There is one more terms which are missing over here. In this particular equation, the DC is interacting of voltage with the AC current, and also the AC voltages are interacting with the DC currents. These equations are missing over here. It's just indication only. Okay. Yeah. Maybe they have made into this one. They have made into this P rest, non-similar frequency components. See, if you see this equation, we get about the DC voltage interacting with the current, and the IDC current is interacting with the AC voltage. Here we have the dissimilar frequencies, AC voltage interacting with the AC currents. This is the P rest. This is the PDC. Yeah, this is about how they generally represents the instantaneous powers. We have seen the active power as well as the reactive power. Now we are just going to see about the apparent power. How does it looks like? Okay, this is a power which is of a scalar. Okay, whereas other case of a power we can have this in a kind of a real power is in this direction and the reactive power is in this direction. We get a J times of a Q and then the P. Okay, we get about this is about a kind of a apparent power which is of a scalar, but as such, like, it is not required to mention about this particular point over here also. The apparent power, which is defined as the RMS voltage and the RMS current. Okay, this equation. Okay, the entire the harmonics other than the fundamental and DC can be represented to VH, and then similarly the current also. Okay, you can write down this one: VH square is equal to V2 square plus V3 square and so on, or from n equal to t infinity Vn square, and the IH also similarly we can write down this equation. Why we are going to write down in this sort of the equation is we are explicitly expressing this apparent power in terms of the TSTs of current as well as TSTs of voltage. In order to express the apparent power in terms of the total harmonic distortion of the current and total harmonic of distortion of voltage, we are just making out we are just expressing the S apparent power in terms of this particular I and this particular V. Why we are expressing this way is we are going to define the power factor. We have come across the power factor is very much dependent on the TSTs also. TSTs of current. If TST is more, or in any kind of a system, if TST in current and TST in the voltage is more, then you say about the power factor is less. That's what we are going to look into the equation of the power factor. How does the power factor is dependent on the TST of current and TST of the voltage. For that, we are expressing the apparent power in terms of TST in current and TST in voltage. Okay, just a minute. Yeah, we are expressing the apparent power in terms of the TSTs of current and TST of voltage. Okay, see, this is a simple equation. We can just we have to rearrange the equation. That's it. Nothing is there much over here in this particular equations. Yeah. Here is the S square. S is equal to V into I. This equation we just squaring in on both the sides. We are expressing this one. Okay. This again VDC square plus V1 square plus VH square, IDC square plus I1 square. Then you can multiply term wise, and we get of this. One is this is the equation which we get the fundamental voltage and fundamental current, and then the harmonic voltage and harmonic current. Then VDC square is multiplied with this I1 square plus ID square, and IDC square is multiplied with this. We have V1 and I square and VHI square. Okay, this is SDC square, S1 square, this is SH square, and this is ST is represented to the kind of a interaction of a distortion uh, with respect to DC voltage and DC current, and with respect to the harmonics in the current and harmonics in the voltage. Okay, this totally with respect to the harmonics only. Harmonics voltage of interacting with the harmonic currents. Okay, yeah, and this power they expressed it as Sn square, whereas this one is S1 square. S1 square is equal to S square DC plus HH square plus SD square. And now here, this is the equation which we are going to get it out, this equation. But in power systems, in generally, practically, DC components are neglected. Then what you get? See, this equation has written, if you have a DC components, how does the apparent power looks like? Okay. Now we try to neglect the DC powers. Then we were not going to have this term. We're not going to have this term, and this term won't be there, this term won't be there, and this term won't be there, this term. We have only three terms, the V1, I1, IH square, this term, and VH, this term is there, and this particular term is there with respect to the N. And maybe you can consider a non-useful apparent power also. Now this equation is the distortion with respect to the voltage, and this equation is distortion with respect to the current. This equation is distortion with respect to the harmonics, with respect to the voltage as well as the current also. Now this equation of dV is I1 H1, D1 is equal to V1 V1 IH. Okay. Now we know that the THT in the voltage is the VH by V1. THT in current is IH by I1. Okay. THT in current is IH by I1, the harmonics voltage. See, we are not having the DC components. Okay, VH by V1 and current. We try to express this one, the VH, we substitute here as I1 into V1 times of THT voltage, and this equation has the same V1 of I1 into THT of current. Okay, we can express like this. So now we substitute these terms in this equation, in this 1.43 equation. We get about, see, this equation is anyway, we have written it, and dV we can write it out as V1 I1 THT V1, this one, and this one is V1 I1 THT I, this one. We have V1 I1 THT, we can make out S1. And this one also, VH is equal to V1 THT V, IHS I1 THT V. We can express this SH as S1 into THT in current and THT in the voltage. Now, the SN term is expressed this kind of the equation. Sn is equal to S1 plus THT into I and THT in voltage and THT in current. Okay, this is one of the equation. Generally, how does this a non-useful apparent power, how does it relate with the THT in current and THT in the voltage? Now, for our understanding also, I mean, in generally the power systems also, we express THT in a voltage is very lesser than the THT in current also, because as we have seen in a system, the load in IEEE 519 standard, we have seen like the THT in current is very much less than, very much, the load THT in voltage is also very less. Okay, so the THT in current is more. In that case, Sn is equal to, it should be not a D1, it should be of THT in current. Okay, THT in current. And with this equation also, we can see that a non-useful power increases with respect to the THT in current and THT in voltage also. Okay, here also there is, when you say about a non-useful power, we say that is a power system is less efficient power network also. Okay, less efficient the power network. Now this, there are some of the terms which they have listed out when you are considering the voltage having the harmonics and then the current harmonics. One is a non-active power. Okay, the non-active power is N is equal to square root of S square, that's total apparent power. It involves VRMS whole square into VRMS into IRMS. And whatever we get a power, this apparent, average power, apart from that, the rest of the powers is called it as non-active power. Okay, this is about the non-active power, which is involving about, I can say that all the reactive powers also. Okay, now there is a one more term which is of distortion power. We can know this power, the average power. We can know about the reactive power. Other than these powers, that is, we have seen like V1 I1 cos phi 1 and so on are all P, and Q is equal to V1 I1 sin phi and so on are all reactive powers. Other than these powers, they call it as distortion power. The kind of the expression, how does they relate it is S square is equal to this particular equation. You can find out the distortion power is equal to square root of S square minus P square minus Q square. These are the terms which they have tried to express or try to distinguish the non-useful powers. Okay, I mean, some of the it is not a consistent kind of a terms also. It is going to vary. Okay, these are all defined from taking out in some of the literature only. Okay, other than the active power, they defined as a non-active power. Other than P and Q, they defined as the distortion power. Okay, distortion power. Yeah. Next is we are going to define now the fundamental power factor and then the overall power factor. We know that the fundamental power factor is the fundamental power, active power, by the fundamental ratio of the fundamental active power by fundamental apparent power also. Okay, this way we define about displacement power factor or the fundamental power factor also. Now we try to see about the power factor. Yeah. And the power factor is P by S, right? This is the real power or average power by the apparent power. This P is defined as P1 plus PH, P1 plus PH. And then the S1 is S also is equal to Sn by S1 by Sn, where we have seen that Sn is expressed as S1 into THT of current square. I think the square root is there or not. Yeah. We can try to see this equation in earlier equation also. Yeah, this equation. Okay. Why I'm just expressing that equation? We know this particular equation, and we can express the P1 plus PH and square root of S is equal to square root of S1 square plus Sn square. We are representing the power factor in terms of the THT in current and THT in the voltage. So for that reason only we are just trying to make out the equation. Okay, that is THT in current and THT in voltage square plus THT of current into THT of voltage square is there. Yeah. And this equation we can take out one P1 common in PH by P1, and here we can take out the common as S1 over here. This is about the P1 by S1. This equation, after simplification, we get about this one as the power factor, and Sn by S1 square, you substitute Sn over this equation, we get about this equation, THT current square and THT voltage square, and this equation. Okay. Now anyway, like any kind of a system, generally the power is much more higher. The power is much more higher and the pH is much lesser than this values. Okay. Yeah, the power factor is defined to be as power factor is defined to as depends on the fundamental power as well as the harmonic power as well as the displacement power factor as well as THT in current and THT in voltages also. Okay, the overall power factor is dependent on these particular factors, these factors. Okay, from this above equation we can observe that it is dependent on the fundamental power as well as fundamental average power. Okay, fundamental active power as well as harmonic active power, displacement power factor, and THTs in voltage and current. Here, one thing is I was mentioning in the earlier case also, the power factor is S by the P by S, right? This is the indication of the utilization factor. The indication of utilization factor for what purpose? I mean, when you say about the utilization factor indicator is, what do you mean that? Are we using the source in an effectively or not? Are we using the source in an effective way or not? See, when your P is, see, you know that most of the cases your S is much greater than of the P value, then your power factor becomes low. When S is equal to P, we get the power factor is equal to the unity. Okay, when you are saying that power factor is low, that means that we are not using the source effectively. why we say that source is not using effectively is when the source is supplying only the useful power, and source is supplying only the useful power. Okay, in that case only we can say that source is utilized 100%. That is, when S is equal to P, you get a power factor of 1. We are utilizing it effectively. Okay, when your power factor is low, that means that we are underutilizing the source. That's what the power factor is, a utilization factor indicator, as indicates the usage of the real power, as indicates the usage of a real power. Okay, this is one of the term. And the other term, Sn by S1, Sn by 1, S1 is used to decide the overall degree of harmonic content, is used to decide the degree of the harmonic current in a system. See this one. If you take about this equation, what we get was Sn by S1 is equal to, we get a factor of this particular equation, THT in current plus THT in voltage square plus THT in current square plus THT in voltage square. This factor, whatever it is there, S1 here, this factor is the indicator of the overall degree of harmonic current in the system. These are the observations which are arise from the above discussion. Okay, from the above discussion. If the Sn by S1 is 0, then you can say that the overall degree of the harmonic content is very less. Okay. If it is goes to the higher than the values of S1, then you say that the degree, I mean, if you have a if there is no distortion in the voltage or in harmonic current, that degree might be 0. Okay, if there is a harmonic content is there, then it is more than the value of the overall degree. The harmonic content, if it is there, then the value of that is higher also. That's what it decides the overall degree of harmonic current in the system also. When you are measuring a non-useful apparent power with respect to the fundamental apparent power, and it indicates the overall degree of harmonic content. Okay. And anyway, the flow of fundamental power is characterized with these fundamental powers only. These fundamental S1, P1 and power factor 1 and the Q1. Okay. With this equation of 1.56 also, we are not able to define the what I mean to say that we are not able to define that how does the power factor is influencing with the THTs of the current also. But we can very well ensure that when you have these factors, the denominator value is much more higher also, then obviously the power factor becomes low. Okay, but not very clearly evident also. We try to see that equation, the power factor, how does it is influencing how does the power factor is influenced by the harmonics in the voltage or in the current also. But in order to have a clear evident how the power factor is going to affect with the harmonics, further what we consider was, we consider the P1 is very much higher than the pH value. Even the fundamental active power is much more higher than the value, and the THT in the voltage is very less than the THT in current. In that case, what happened was, this particular equation won't be there, because now we have considered the much higher value, which is this value is very much lower, then we are neglecting over this term. And then the THT voltage is much lesser than the THT of the current, then we have 1 plus THT in current equation. So we have this sort of the equation. Okay. After considering this equation, now we can observe that the power factor, see this value of the current is higher. Anyway, the THT value it may be one. It may be lesser than the. I can say for a time being, I can say uh, lesser than the one. If you are explicitly expecting in a percentage, we get is less than the one only. Okay, and obviously this 1 plus 1 is very much higher. The denominator value is obviously higher. It decreases the power factor. This when this value is 1, it will be of power factor is equal to 1 only. When this denominator is much higher, the power factor is very less. This how with this equation we can say that the power factor is influenced uh, harmonics is influencing the overall power factor also. The TST in currents, if you are allowing the harmonic current is more, then we say that the non-useful power is more. That's what. If the non-useful power is more, then obviously the power factor is very less. Okay, power factor is very less. This about the observations which we are observed in this discussion, that when you have the harmonics in current and the harmonics in the voltage, we have a more than non-useful power, then obviously the power factor is reduced. If the power factor is reduced, then we can say that we are underutilizing the source in an effective way, because the no more the non-useful power is going to deliver by the source. Because of that, the more the losses will be there in the system because of the non-useful power. Okay, yeah, these about the power system quantities. Power system quantities when you are considering the harmonics in voltage and harmonics in current. Okay, yeah, next is we will try to move to the next unit. Maybe I hope that I have covered all the things which are related to the this particular unit. Harmonic standards, harmonic analysis. Harmonic analysis, I ask you to work out yourself only. Okay. Okay. And then we are seeing the harmonic standards, harmonic phase sequence, triplet harmonics, and interharmonic. Interharmonics, as such, like we have not discussed much about this particular aspect. Only thing is like we know the definition of the interharmonics. Okay. But as such, like we didn't discuss much about this also. Please, I mean, these are a non-integer multiples of the fundamental frequencies. Basically, these are the things of the interharmonics are going to exist because when you have a PWM based kind of an inverter, in that case, we'll be having the interharmonics in a system. And like generally in a system, what I mean to say that in a system where for the load which has been connected, if there is a this particular case, the load is changing very intermittently only because of the arc furnaces only. Okay, in that case only we'll be having the interharmonics. Apart from that, nothing more to discuss over with respect to the interharmonics related to the fundamentals of harmonics. Okay, if anything, if I get any more content regarding the interharmonics, I definitely discuss with you, or else you please go through the textbook of this. Okay, I've shared you this content with all of you. Okay, you please go through that. Yeah. Yeah. This about the fundamentals of harmonics. We'll now try to move to the next unit. Just a minute. Yeah. Is my screen visible, right? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we are going to now discuss about this particular unit of voltage quality introductions, and this content we are going to discuss now. Okay. Yeah. 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 We have seen in the in discussing about the first unit, we have seen about the sources of sag and then swell. We have defined the unbalance very well, and then the harmonics also. We have seen about the voltage quality standards with respect to the what we have seen like the voltage quality standards. With respect to the THD, we have defined it also. Okay, with respect to the voltage THDs, and then uh, while discussing about the voltage quality standards, we have seen like CBE maker. CBE maker. What it shows that an equipment to work as satisfactorily, we required certain voltage. Okay, with respect to the uh, with respect to the duration of that particular voltage to be applied on an equipment also. Okay. Uh, I mean, if you try to see this CBMA curve, you can betterly understand how does it looks was with respect to the duration. They have given about this kind of the envelope. This is the time duration of the voltage, or the number of the cycles, or the number of cycles, and then the voltage magnitude. I mean, they explicitly voltage magnitude. Okay, they have mentioned it as whatever the voltage variations within this kind of the envelope, the equipment is going to work very satisfactorily. That shows about the voltage quality standards. Standards in range with respect to the THD, or with respect to the voltage magnitude also. Voltage and magnitude. Generally, typically the voltage magnitude is with respect to the voltage, any kind of the equipment is able to withstand the voltage variations between 19 to 110 percentage, 110 percentage of the magnet, 110 percentage of the voltage. Okay, any kind of the equipment. If you take any kind of it bears. I mean, it bears in the sense like it can give a satisfactory performance when your applied voltage is between 90 to 90 percentage to 110 percentage. But anyway, certain voltages, if we have seen one of the case of the a computer equipment, it is able to withstand a half cycle of a data, half cycle of a zero voltage also it able to withstand also. We are not, when you're looking about a standards, generally the allowed voltage value is 90 to 110 percentage. Apart from that, there is a factor with respect to this is with respect to the magnitude, and with respect to the standards also, there are standards with respect to the THD. Okay, THD. We have seen these particular standards when we are discussing about the 519 standard also. Please go through that. Apart from that, there is one more factor which is which define the standard is voltage unbalance factor. Okay, generally we expect to be a balanced voltages. I mean, voltage unbalance factor is also there in defining the voltage quality standard also. Generally, the allowed voltage standard with respect to the voltage is something around 2% to 3% also. Okay, when you refer to the IEEE 519 standard, you can refer this voltage unbalance factor also. Okay, yeah. In this particular unit, we are going to see much about of effects of voltage sag. What is a sag, and what kind of the what is the reasons? What is the cause for the voltage sag is going to come? What are the main reasons? Main reasons which causes which causes the voltage sag. One thing is I was mentioning while defining the voltage sag also. Before going to that, I'll just give the references. You can try to refer this particular textbook of understanding of power quality problems by Mathej Bullen. Very few. Only one unit is sufficient for you. One of the unit. Okay, and then some of the IEEE papers. Okay. For this particular textbook, the soft copy is not available. If time permits, I'll provide you the screenshots of the textbook to you. Okay. Yeah. Now we try to go for discuss about the sag only, voltage sag. Okay. What about the voltage sag? How do it define this? The definition wise, it defined as the voltage variation of how it defines the voltage sag. We have seen the definition, right? How does it define as? It is defined as the variation of the voltage is between 10% to 90%. If there is any voltage variation between 10 to 90% for a duration of a half cycle to 1 minute okay, in that case we will say about the voltage sag. How does these kind of the voltage sag are going to occur in a system is because of faults in a system. And during the induction motor starting also, it creates the voltage sag. Okay. Yeah. And any kind of a if any kind of a load, if it takes a high current for a duration of this one, half cycle to 1 minute, high current. Why I'm just mentioning is because the induction motor starting current it takes a high magnetic current, around 6 times of the rated current also. Okay, it is also for once it builds the back EMF, it doesn't require the magnetizing current. For that reason only, maybe some of the loads which are there, it takes high current also. Okay. In that case, we will be having about the voltage sag. Yeah. See, I defined here only the magnitude reduction. When you are having about the voltage sag, apart from this magnitude reduction, there is a phase shift. In the voltage also. They can call it as a phase angle jump also, or phase angle jump. What it means that we have a voltage. This is about the reference voltage initially. When there is a fault occurred, maybe I can just represent it to V1. This is about the pre-fault voltage. During the fault, there is a magnitude reduction. and also there is a phase angle shift over there. There is a phase angle shift over there. Because of that, we will be having the will be having the phase angle jump or a phase shift also. In generally, they define it as a phase jump or a phase angle jump also. They define this particular phi, they call it as a phase angle jump, or even they say about some of the cases they say about phase jump or even the phase shift. These things also will occur when there is a voltage sag apart from the magnitude reduction. We'll see now how does how we can have this kind of a phase shift in the voltage. Okay. For that, here you can see the definition. Yeah, there is one more thing which I forgot to mention over here. We define this voltage sag a 0.9 to 1.9 per unit at a system frequency, that is fundamental frequency, for a duration of 10 milliseconds is half cycle to 1 minute. Okay. Apart from this, there is a phase jump, which is defined as a phase angle difference between the voltage during the sag and the pre-sag voltage. This is about the pre-sag voltage and this is about the sag voltage. The phase angle difference between the voltage during the sag and then the pre-sag can be called it as a phase jump. This again, the phase jump mainly occurs in distribution system due to X by R ratio of a transmission line. X by R ratio of the transmission line and transformation of fault from higher voltages to lower voltages. This is the part which we are just going to discuss at least one class. This part we'll see with a derivation, with simple derivation only. Especially the transformation of the fault from higher voltages to lower voltage. That is, transmission of fault is a very important case where we get a phase jumps, is because of the transformation of fault from higher voltages to lower voltages due to the type of the transformer connection. Type of the transformer connection is we have a DY1 and DY3 transformer and so on and so forth. Because of that reason, we'll be having the the phase jumps. You can refer this particular paper, the IEEE paper. You can refer this particular, the influence of transformer winding connections on the propagation of voltage sags. You can refer this particular paper also. Even I'll try to share this this paper to you. Okay. Yeah. Now we try to see that the phase jump due to the X by R ratio. Phase jump due to the X by R ratio. For this, here is a single line diagram, which is of, this is a source, a voltage source, is having the voltage of capital E, and we have a feeder impedance of ZS, and this is a point of common coupling or the terminal voltage. We have a load over here. Okay, this is an ideal system. Okay, whatever I highlighted, this is an ideal system. When we have a fault occurred on the system, in that case, what will happen to this particular PCC voltage? We are just going to look into that. This is a single line diagram. What we are, in order to find out what is the voltage of at PCC when there is a fault occurred in a system. Okay, when there is a fault occurred in the system. In deriving that particular equation, we are going to use the voltage divider rule. It is a simple voltage divider rule. In that case, in deriving this particular equation, when there is a fault occurred in the system, we are going to find out what is the voltage sag. What is the voltage sag? when there is a fault occurred in the system. In that case, we try to neglect this current. The load current is very small. The fault current is much more higher than your load current while deriving this particular expression. Okay. Yeah. Now, it is a simple equation. The fault current is of IF is equal to, what is the fault current? E by E bar by ZS bar plus ZF. We are neglected the load current. And then we are interested in finding about this voltage. The V sat bar is equal to E bar minus I bar, or the fault current bar, by ZS bar. And then what we get was E bar minus of ZS into E bar by ZS bar plus ZF. Simple voltage divider rule only. Fault impedance. Now we can get out this particular equation. Okay. V sag by ZF bar is equal to E bar into ZS. Only thing is, like, we have neglected the load current is very much smaller than this the fault current. Okay, when there is a fault occurred in the system. This is the equation which we are going to get out at the voltage at the PCC when there is a fault in a system. Now this ZS is RS plus JXS, the source impedance or the source reactance, and this about the fault or fault impedance. And then we take this as a reference and the E bar to be as 1 also. Okay, now we are going to find out what is the phase jump at PCC voltage during the sag. Then what we get was, we get about arc of V sag is equal to tan inverse of XF by RF. This is the equation, the tan inverse. We are going to find out this angle. We have taken the E as a reference, that E is equal to 1 per unit is a magnitude. Then you have an arc of tan inverse of XS plus XF by RS plus XF. Okay, it is observed from the above equation, voltage sag phase jump is dependent on the X by R ratio of source impedance and then the fault impedance between the PCC and the fault. Okay. Okay, this is one of the term. Basically, what I mean to say that the phase jump is dependent on the X by R ratio of the source impedance and then the fault impedance also. Okay, this is creating the phase jump. And then here, when you see about this particular 2.1 equation, when you see about the 2.1 equation, when you see about this equation, the magnitude of the voltage is dependent on this particular equation. See, this term is same, whereas this term is not going to, maybe we are not going to change the feeder impedance. This term is also influencing the voltage side. What it means that not only the phase jump, also depends on the distance between the PCC and the fault location. Okay, what it means that the fault impedance is going to vary. Why it is going to vary? Because the fault location, if it is maybe nearer to a bus or near to the PCC, then the fault impedance is very much lower also. If the fault impedance is if the fault location is very far away, then you have a more the voltage drop. So you can see this particular equation. Yeah. What I mean to say that if the fault occurrence from the PCC is very far away, then obviously what happened was the impedance is much higher also. Then when you see to this equation, when the fault location is very far away, this impedance is very much higher also. In that case, the fault current is very low. Then we have a very lesser drop in that case, the magnitude reduction is very less. What the important point need to be observed is the voltage sag magnitude is dependent on the PCC and the fault location, and also apart from the magnitude, the phase jump also. Apart from the magnitude, there is a phase jump is also dependent on the distance between the PCC and the fault location also, because this particular factor is also going to vary. I mean, because this XF RF is going to vary, and this XF RF is also going to vary. Okay, phase jump is dependent on X by R ratio on the system impedance and the fault impedance. Not only the phase jump is also dependent on the distance between the PCC and then the fault location also. These are very two important points. One is the X by R ratio, the other one is the fault location from the PCC. The magnitude wise, it also, here you can see this one, it also dependent on the distance between the fault point and the PCC. This ZF is the fault impedance is represented as ZS per unit impedance into the fault location also. Okay, this about the voltage, the sag voltage. Apart from the magnitude reduction, it depends on it also, I mean, apart from the magnitude reduction, there is a phase jump. The phase jump is due to occurrence is due to the X by R ratio of the source impedance and the fault impedance between PCC and the fault, and the distance between the PCC and the fault location also. The magnitude is very well dependent on the fault location from the PCC. See, so far we have seen that the phase angle jump or the phase jump is because of the X by R ratio between the feeder as well as the fault impedance. Okay, in the next class we try to see that the phase angle jump due to the transformer connection also. Okay, yeah. Any doubts? I mean, regarding